Students, in the last class we discussed about nutrition in amoeba, nutrition in paramecium and nutrition in cuscuta. Now coming to the continuation of the lesson, nutrition in human beings. The nutrition taking process in the human beings. That means digestion. How the process of digestion takes place in the human beings. What happens to the food after entering into the human beings? What happens next? Let us clearly know about this. Now, the human digestive system starts with the mouth and ends with the anus. The human digestive system starts with the mouth and ends with the anus. In between the parts which are present, they are responsible for the process of digestion. They are esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum and anus. These are involved in the process of digestion. Coming to the digestion, before going into the depth of the digestion, what is digestion? We know that what is digestion? Complex food materials turns into simple substances is known as digestion. Here we know the term of about digestion. One thing we should know before going into the depth of the digestive system, that is enzymes. What is enzyme? Enzymes which are responsible for the help for the speed up of the chemical reactions. Enzymes helpful for the or speed up the chemical reactions, that is body. That means enzymes are only responsible for the digestion process in the human beings. And now if we came to know that about digestion and enzymes. Now getting into the lesson, we already know that digestion starts with the mouth and ends with anus. After entering after entering into the mouth, what happened? After entering into the mouth, with the help of the teeth, teeth which help the food to make into very small pieces. That means here the teeth are present, that makes the food into very small pieces. Not only teeth, here one enzyme is released. Already we know that enzymes speed up the chemical reactions in the human body. That means enzymes, here salivary amylase is the enzyme released in the mouth. That means salivary amylase, or it is called as styalin, which is released in the mouth. Salivary amylase is released from the salivary glands. There are three pairs of salivary glands located. The three pairs of salivary glands are located in the mouth. With these help of these three pairs of salivary glands releases the enzyme called salivary amylase. The salivary amylase. What is the role of the salivary amylase? Means salivary amylase acts upon the component of the carbohydrate. That means the intake of food materials contains carbohydrates. It acts upon the carbohydrates. The carbohydrates make into small pieces with the help of the enzyme called salivary amylase. That means with the help of the salivary amylase, with the help of the teeth, and with the help of the tongue. What is the use of the tongue? Means tongue sends the food into the next part of the mouth is also called as buccal cavity. In the mouth, the buccal cavity masticated the food into very small pieces. The masticated food in the buccal cavity is called as bolus. What is bolus? The masticated food in the mouth is called as bolus. Next, after this, the masticated food enters into the esophagus with the help of the peristaltic movements. With the help of the peristaltic movements, the masticated food, that means small food particles, simple digested particles, that means slightly digested particles enters into the esophagus, then it enters into the stomach. Then what is the role of the stomach? What the stomach will do? Then what happened after entering into the stomach? What happened to the food? That means let us explain. In the stomach releases one juice called gastric juice. That is nothing but HCl or hydrochloric acid, and one enzyme called pepsin. Pepsin enzyme is released in the stomach, and then again gastric juice. What is the role of gastric juice means? Here food materials, it means it kills the microorganisms which entered in the stomach. That means HCl is responsible for the killing of microorganisms. Whether any microorganisms entered into the stomach means HCl, hydrochloric acid, kills that microorganisms. Well, along with that, then what is the role of the pepsin means? Pepsin makes the acts upon the proteins. That means it makes the proteins into simple substance. Pepsin breaks the proteins into very simple particles. That means in the mouth, carbohydrates, with the help of the salivary amylase, carbohydrates are made into small pieces. Then in the stomach, with the help of the pepsin enzyme, proteins are made into very small pieces. Then it which with the help of the stomach walls, the food is churned in the stomach. The food is very mastered churned in the stomach with the help of the stomach walls and HCl. The churned food in the stomach is called as chyme. The churned food inside the stomach is called as chyme. What is chyme? The churned food inside the stomach with the help of the HCl and stomach to be chyme. After this, the food digested, partially digested food, that means not completely digested, the food is not completely digested, just partially digested food enters into the duodenum. The part is called as duodenum. What is duodenum? The first part of the small intestine. The first part of the small intestine. Here pyloric sphincters are responsible for the and after entering into the after entering into the duodenum, here liver releases bile juice. It does not releases any enzymes. Liver just releases bile juice. Bile juice. What is the role of bile juice? What is the role of bile juice? Means bile juice makes the fats into very small globule-like structures. That means with the help of the bile juice, the fats are getting very small pieces. The process is said to be emulsification. What is emulsification? Breakdown of fats into small substances with the help of the bile juice. The process is called emulsification. After that, here it is pancreas. Pancreas also release one juice called pancreatic juice. In this juice, two enzymes are present. They are trypsin and lipase. Trypsin and lipase. Trypsin. What is the role of trypsin? Trypsin again acts upon the digestion of the proteins. That means in the stomach pepsin, in the duodenum it is trypsin. Trypsin again acts upon the proteins for further digestion of the proteins. Next, lipase. Lipase also further digestion of the fats. That means fats are again digested by the lipase. These digested parts entered into the digested particles entered into the small intestine. Here what happened after entering into the small intestine means after entering into the food, the partially digested food entering into the small intestine. Here the small intestine has a enzyme. That means one juice called as intestinal juice. Small intestine releases, small intestine walls releases juice called intestinal juice, which is responsible for the further digestion of the carbohydrates, proteins, fats. That means after entering into the small intestine, the carbohydrates, proteins, fats, again the small intestine releases juice, intestinal juice. It made into very small pieces. It makes the proteins into very simple small pieces, and it makes fats into very small pieces, and it made carbohydrates into small pieces. Children, listen carefully here. Carbohydrates are not digested in the stomach. It is made into simple pieces in the mouth, and again it is getting digested small intestine. Then what happened next? After making into small molecules, what happened next? Yes, a finger-like projections called villi. A finger-like projections called villi, which is responsible for the transportation of the carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. That means the digested particles in the small intestine, and with the villi consists of blood cap vessels. The digestive particles enters into the villi. In the villi, blood vessels and lymph vessels are present. With that, the food materials, the digested particles enters into the villi, and through the villi, it mixed into the blood, and it transported to rest of the body. That means the digested particles are transported from the small intestine to the villi, and the villi to the rest of in the villi, blood capillaries or blood vessels are present. From the blood, it mixed in the rest of the body. That means the transport of food materials transport entered into the our body. Then what happened to undigested particles? Yes, undigested particles, what are unwanted waste materials sends into the large intestine. Small intestine sends which are undigested particles, which are unwanted materials sends to the large intestine. Large intestine takes all the unwanted materials, undigested particles into them with the help of the water, and with the help of the fibers we eat. Then it stores up to the mark, and then after entering into the large intestine, the waste materials are sent from the rectum and anus. The waste materials which are sent from the large intestine and sends outside the body is called defecation. Is called defecation. This means the waste materials are comes outside from the anus. This is about the digestive system. In the next class, we discuss remaining topic.